I'm just so confused. I don't understand why there are still protests. Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all counts. Everyone should just go. Oh, they're not satisfied. They'll never be satisfied. They're still rioting and they're refusing to give up their autonomous zone. I mean, it's obvious. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile because they will never be satisfied. I've long said that the left in this country is a chaotic and destructive force because they don't have goals. They don't actually have principles. They may have some kind of warped ideology. The problem is the rules change all the time. The recent example, which you're probably familiar with, is the Stop Asian Hate movement. For years, Black Lives Matter activists ragged on Asians, saying that they had white privilege and all of that stuff, and they were white adjacent or whatever. And then all of a sudden, they decided to change the rules and even cancel themselves. Some of their own prominent activists were getting attacked for making anti-Asian slurs in the past when it was allowed. So what happens if you keep giving a chaotic, destructive force what it wants? It never stops. There's no goal. It's just burning everything down. So here we are. The New York Post reporting protesters vandalize Central Park Monument and clash with police. Oh, surprise, surprise. The verdict isn't what they care about. Yet for some reason, these people in government are so stupid or compromised that they keep doing this. And I'll tell you what else. I'm warning all of you. You've been warned before, and I will say it again. There is no ducking your head. There is no keeping my head down and they'll just pass me by. It ain't gonna happen. They will eventually come to your neighborhood. They'll get rid of the police. They'll replace them with the woke police, and it will happen to you. What you need to realize is there's different kind of things that could happen. It's not just going to be like woke police knock on your door and ask you to accept their Lord and Savior anti-racism into your life. It's going to be that eventually cops, many of them will resign, and many others who are just scabs, people who just want a paycheck and don't care about the rule of law or anything like that or the Constitution. And those people are going to be like, I don't care for what reason. They said you said naughty words, you're under arrest. Oh, you were harassing them. Harassment is a crime. It is. I think harassment should be a crime. But what will happen is they'll claim that words are violence and you called someone a name and they'll come and arrest you. And the cop's going to be like, dude, I don't care. I just want money. They'll knock on your door. They'll take you away. And there'll be a crowd of people outside your house screaming. I mean, it already happened before. There was a guy in Wisconsin and he had a big group of Black Lives Matter protesters outside of his house screaming at him. He brandished a weapon. He shouldn't have done that. And the cops came and arrested them. Now, again, he should not have brandished the weapon, right? He literally pointed at people. You shouldn't do that. But he is in his own home. He could maybe just warn people, stay away from my house. I'll defend myself. The issue is that when the police showed up, the Black Lives Matter crowd started cheering. I thought they wanted to abolish the police. No, they're cheering for it. You look, I've said it a million times. These people who are not speaking up, the people who are just hiding and saying, I can't say anything. These people who message me. I'm speaking to you guys now who message me. High profile celebrities, pro skateboarders, musicians, actors who are like, I better keep my head down, bro. How many times have I told you on the phone? It won't work. They will come and they will destroy what you have. You keep giving in. Nothing changes. It gets worse until you say stop. And for everybody else, same message. But I have people who will call me up and they're going to be like, I wish I could speak out. I'm like, bro, you got an audience. You got so many people who care about what you think. Just say it. Don't go out and scream MAGA or anything like that. I'm just saying go and be like, yo, people, chill out. No, I can't do it, man. Because they'll come. They'll destroy my business. And I'll be like, then you want it to happen. I'm sorry. That's the truth. If you won't stand up, you want it to happen. I mean, how is it that there are people who literally make a career out of saying stand up and don't take this stuff? How is it that I'm able to stand here and say, but you're scared? Why? Well, this is what you get. They're going to keep rioting. They're going to keep vandalizing stuff. They're going to keep bashing, throwing bricks at cops. It's not going to change. They will do more the more you let them. Let's say you give in now and say, oh, okay, fine, we'll get rid of the police. Then they'll go around smashing everything, saying the system is broken and capitalism is bad. They're just eroding the system. So we got this story out of last night. Protesters clashed with police in Manhattan on Thursday night after a monument was vandalized by cop haters in Central Park. Excellent, New York Post. 6 people were arrested in Columbus Circle. ACAB, an acronym for all cops are childs without fathers. We'll put it that way. It's the B word. We're on YouTube. We're family friendly. And F12, which means F the police, were spray painted on the monument. I love F12 so much. I love that saying. It is the greatest thing because it's meaningless to 99.9% of people. So you'll see people and you go, yo, F12. And then you're like, what? It's a reference to ACAB, which is 1312. And so our bad is 12. So F, our bad, whatever. It's meaningless. It is jargon. And this shows that there's a fringe group of lunatics who are being given free range because we are a society of lazy do-nothings with no responsibility. Sorry, that's the truth. Okay, maybe not you. Maybe not me. Look, to the best of my abilities, I speak up, speak out. And I think building culture is one of the best things we can do. So I'm launching the vlog and we're going to have fun. And guess what? We put up a vlog, right? This is hilarious. We put up a vlog over on my new channel, Cast Castle. And we got his pro bike guy and he's grinding. He's jumping up on the bar and it's really cool. We got a big old Gadsden flag right in the back. Don't tread on me. I'll tell you what's funny. We got flagged for violence and they age restricted the video. Uh-oh, you see, that's it. And I complained and I tweeted about it and they removed the restriction. It is monetized. It has like 240,000 views. And that's the point. Got a big old Gadsden flag. What does it mean? It means libertarianism. Little L, not big. It means be free. Individuality. The rights, have your rights, your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what it means. And so building culture is one of the best things I think we can do. And I got out of these cities because I won't support them with my tax dollars, and I will speak up against it. Guess what? I think most of you do too, because a lot of you are commenting and saying this stuff, and you have no problem doing it. Many people who watch probably don't, but there are a lot of people who absolutely are like, yeah, I'm going to sit back and just collect a paycheck while the world burns around me. That's the truth, man. And I wonder what it is. You know, maybe it's the good times make weak men and, weak men make bad times make strong men, that whole thing. And maybe we're headed towards a future where we're going to have kids growing up in hard times. They grow up in a financial crisis. They grow up in a political crisis. They grow up with violence all around them and they become hardened to it. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe there's a light, look, I don't like the riots. I don't like the violence, but maybe there'll be some kids who grow up watching all this stuff and they're going to be like, wow, like my family's life was ruined. My friends' lives were ruined. And they're going to be hardened to this stuff. Stonewall was a riot was also written in pink spray paint because this protest was Black Trans Lives Matter. How long until it's, otherkin lives matter? You think I'm joking? I'm not. I made the joke that in 10 years, the Republican Party is going to be Democratic socialists arguing with otherkin communists about, their crazed policies because republicanism, the Republican Party, not republicanism, but the Republican Party and conservatism in this country seem to mostly just be leave me alone. I don't care what you do. Yeah, I guess it's interesting because it's kind of like don't tread on me, The problem is there's got to be some basic level of respect for the idea of the government not treading on people. If everyone just says, look, I'll do me, you do you, and leave me alone, then eventually the crazies say, okay, we're going to go take over your cultural institutions. We're going to overrun your government. And then we're going to start oppressing people. And then we're sitting back going like, yeah, well, as long as you leave me alone while you do it. And ain't how it works. You got to take responsibility. You got to pay attention to the school board. You got to pay attention to your local elections because it's only going to get worse. This one's my favorite. Look at this. Activists allegedly refusing? Come on, Fox. Activists allegedly refusing to leave George Floyd Square after Chauvin verdict calls for demand to be met. Activists calling for Minneapolis Autonomous Zone to remain until conclusion of remaining officers' trial. We mentioned this the other day on the IRL podcast, and Ian said something funny. He was like, oh, yeah, because nothing's going to go wrong in the meantime. And I'm like, that's an excellent point. It's true. So we're going to wait until August. We're going to wait 4 months for the next trial. And they're saying nothing bad's going to happen. They're getting all these rookie cops and they're putting them out on the street. And I was mentioning this, dude, if the veteran cops are getting arrested and charged with manslaughter and murder, what do you think's going to happen to a rookie cop? Veteran cop has more training, right? So we had this, Kim Potter woman, 26 years. She's been out there working the beat for a long time. So she's got experience and she's probably less likely to kill or be killed. She's got experience in a lot of this stuff. But you had a guy who's wanted an aggravated robbery, jumps into a car and she's like, I got to do something. And she shot him. whether it was an accident because she wanted to tase him or because she shot him. He's a guy who's wanted for aggravated robbery, jumping into his car. He could have had a weapon. He was resisting, and it's a tragic situation. But she was a veteran, man. She's probably seen way worse than this. Yeah, well, now she's in jail. Now she's in an orange jumpsuit. Actually, no, I think she posted bail. It's like $100,000. Well, what do you think's going to happen when a rookie cop comes out there and some dude goes to pull up his waistband and he goes, no, boom, 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 and shoots him? Well, you got 4 months. You got summer months. You got springtime. You got summer coming up. You think it ain't going to happen? I'll let you know something, man. A lot of these stories where cop gets scared and shoots somebody, I'm not saying all of them or a majority. I'm just saying there are many where it's some dude with baggy pants. He goes to pull up his baggy pants. The cops think he's going for a gun in his waistband. They shoot him. So there was one dude who was like outside of 7-Eleven and like a cop was like trying to stop him. And then the dude went to pull his pants up and the cop shot him because that's what he thought. There's this other video, apparently, you guys probably know this one, where the guy's crawling on his knees begging, please don't shoot me. And the cop's like, put your hands up, put your hands down, crawl, lay down, and the guy's like, what do you want to do? The guy starts crawling, crying, and then his pants start falling down. He reaches to grab his pants, and the cop just goes boom, 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 and shoots him several times. Well, that cop apparently, I don't know if he's still working or I think he got his pension or something. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of a cop making a guy crawl on his knees or any of that stuff. I think that cop should be held accountable for that. Was insane. You got a guy on the ground. You're responsible for that. All right. So I'm telling you this. I like seeing police accountability, but I want it to be real accountability and real justice. I saw a post from some lefties where they were like, every time a cop kills someone, there should be a trial. And I thought about that. And I'm like, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know. Because what happens is the cop shoots somebody and then they'll try to determine if a crime was committed. And if not, then they won't have one. We can't just indict everyone of a crime if they're defending themselves. So I'm not sure that makes sense. We're asking police to go into dangerous situations. I'm not a big fan of policing institutions. I'm not a big fan of, I should say, the policing system. I think it needs reform. But I'm not going to blame the individual officers for the most part, because right now you've got people who are asking them to do these things. I'm at this point right now where I'll tell you this. I'm not all about that anymore. Why? Because people said so. We are in a country where all we are getting are people demanding cops stop. And you've heard me say it a million times. So long as there are not people going out demanding more police and protesting for them, I ain't going to support them. I think cops should resign. I have tremendous respect, like serious, tremendous respect, like round of applause respect for these officers who have resigned from departments that are treating them like garbage for two reasons. Like I said the other day, standing up for themselves and their dignity and leaving, and also recognizing when they're not wanted. Those are important things. So maybe Second Amendment is the answer. Maybe you don't got cops to enforce these gun control laws, and we can be responsible for ourselves, and the people in these communities who don't want cops will not have cops. And there you go. Between now and August, there's going to be some rookie cops. They're going to act a fool. They're going to make mistakes, and it's going to make everything worse. And that's why I'm just like, yo, give the cities what they're asking for. Sorry. If there's no cops, then maybe you need to find a way to protect yourself and your family. If you don't want to live in a place like that, you shouldn't. You don't get to be the end all be all determining what the rules are for where you live. And I'm not saying that people really want to not have cops. I'm just saying the people who claim to want cops ain't doing nothing about anything. They're not doing anything. So, dude, I'm not going to stand up for you if you're sitting in a burning building and you won't even try and get out. If you're not even going to try to use like, there's a fire in your house and you got an extinguisher next to you and you're like, I'm going to be like, all right, well, dude, you make your bed, you lay in it. Here's what's going on. Activists who have taken up the Minneapolis George Floyd Square, which grew to become an autonomous zone, say they will not leave the area until officials agree to comply with their list of 24 demands. The group of protesters who have taken up the area surrounding the intersection of 30th and Chicago, now known as George Floyd Square, wrote on Twitter late Wednesday that they will continue to hold the zone until all 24 of their demands are met. They say on Tuesday, the jury found Chauvin guilty. We understand this. So George Floyd Square has been closed since late May, as the corner, it's almost a year now, became a makeshift memorial. On Wednesday, community members behind a Twitter page identified as representing George Floyd Square shared a statement calling for the barricades to remain through the conclusion of the August trial for the 3 other Minneapolis officers. Let me just stop you right there. Once that concludes, they're going to say, well, what about Kim Potter and Dante Wright? Yeah. On Wednesday, they said they wanted the barriers. The current state of the intersection known as George Floyd Square is contributing to the peace and safety, of the surrounding neighborhoods. The statement reads in part, amid ongoing threats of white supremacist violence, in the absence of justice, the barricades and community structures at 30th and Chicago should remain through the trial of all 4 officers. It's problematic to misconstrue police brutality as progress towards racial healing. You may have seen that there's shootings, violence, carjackings. Well, I can tell you one thing. If the community there wants it, well, so be it. There was an op-ed written by people who live about a block away, angry about it, saying cops won't show up and they're mad. Yeah, well, maybe y'all should go out in the streets and stand up for what you believe instead of sitting back and saying, someone else do work for me. Sorry. I'm just sorry. I know. People are saying things like, but we got to protect these people. Dude, I know. But at a certain point, you got to have some responsibility. If you're sitting there and you live in this area and you won't go out and say, I live here, leave. Yeah, well, too bad. If you won't go out and say you support the police, if you won't stand in George Floyd Square waving a Blue Lives Matter flag, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You get what you work for, you get what you pay for, and you get what you ask for. The people in these cities are asking the police to leave. In George Floyd Square, that's exactly what they've done. And the people who live there, hey, there was an op-ed written. I respect that. That's speaking up and speaking out. But y'all got to go out and stand up for yourselves. I'm sorry, what's that? You're scared? The people there are violent extremists who have guns? Welcome to the real world. This is life. So you voted for these things. You voted for the Democrats who took away your right to keep and bear arms. So you want to go out and defend yourself and defend your home? Well, you can't do it now because you're a law-abiding citizen. And the criminals and the extremists will now exploit your ignorance and your mistakes. So what can you do? If you live in this area and you want cops to come and help, maybe you can call the police and say that you're going to organize a group of people who live in the area to march with the police waving Blue Lives Matter flags and demanding the people leave, and do so peacefully. If you won't do that, don't expect me to speak up and speak out on your behalf. When the people wrote an op-ed, I read it. I stood up for them in that capacity. Look, I'm a warrior going out to these communities. I'm a guy talking about his feelings on the internet. But at the very least, I do that, I suppose. I don't live in this place. I ain't going to tell people who live there how to live. So if you want to live there, if you're mad about what they're doing and you won't speak up and speak out, okay, you made your bed. Now lay in it. I don't know what happened, but at a certain point, even conservatives were like, I'd rather just, do nothing. It's easier. Not every conservative, but still many conservatives just roll over for the left and let them do what they want. You have leftists literally taking over a portion of a city with guns and barricades, and ain't nobody doing anything about it. Okay, whatever, man. I'll tell you this. If people came to my house in the middle of nowhere, the people around here would do something about it. Kick them out. They're not crazy, lunatic, fringe, whatever. They're regular people who have homes who will be like, we're not going to allow you to stay here anymore. The people in the cities just sit back and say, I give up, I surrender. You don't got community watch groups anymore. You don't have community. You don't have the right to defend yourselves. And now your cops are abandoning you because the extremists are telling the cops to leave. Maybe it's time you get out. Listen, your first choice, and a lot of people have told me they'll do this. Speak up, speak out, go to community meetings, put up your Blue Lives Matter flag, put up your American flag, call the police, support them, call the city, let them know. Those are the things you can do. You want to really defend your neighborhood, you look at what they're doing. Okay. Make your pro-police autonomous zone. Set up barricades and say only cops allowed. Okay, that's silly. Say all cops allowed, and set it up nearby and say this is for us and this is what we support. Have your support be heard. If you can't do that because you're scared, you need to leave. Plain and simple. You need to leave. If you cannot stand outside your home and proclaim your support for the police like you want, then don't be there, because all you're going to do is get, steamrolled by these extremists who are claiming white supremacist violence and putting up these flyers and all this other nonsense. Sorry, man. Police Chief Medaria Arredondo said at the time that the neighbors were suffering. I cannot allow that to happen. Our men and women will continue to show up and respond and be the guardians of the community when they call us for help. A spokesperson for the Minneapolis Police Department denied to Fox News the existence of an autonomous zone in September 2020, but said at the time that crowds had interrupted police and medical responders. In one instance, in August, police took 14 minutes to respond to a man who was attacked. In March of this year, one person was fatally shot. Look, if you want to live there, you're allowed to do it. Don't take it from me. I ain't going to tell you how to live. If you won't stand up for yourself, all right, I just assume you want people being shot and killed in your neighborhoods. I'm going to say it again for those in the back, because I said it yesterday several times. A woman ran up to another woman in New York and put a bullet in her head. No one cared. No media, no journalists, no outrage, no Black Lives Matter, no activists. They don't care. And then what happens is conservatives are shocked by this and of the opinion that people do care. They don't care, dude. Stop acting like they do. You don't live there. And then when the cops show up and save a girl from a stabbing, they're mad at the police. Conservatives who don't live in these neighborhoods should stop telling people who do how to live. If the police are told not to show up, they clearly want to have their crime, I guess. Hey, I don't live there. If you live there and the people there vote to have these things and your vote is meaningless, eventually got to recognize democratic, institutions work this way. The people say, we're not mad about the shootings. We want to vote for the people who are in favor of this stuff, and they'll support policy in favor of this stuff. Maybe it's time you leave and find somewhere that's more the way you want to more like a place you'd like to live. Maybe you live in, one of these neighborhoods in New York where there's a lot of crime, and you're like, I should move out somewhere else. If you do, just keep in mind, do not vote for what made the places that way in the first place. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.